Welcome to Post Game Podcast. I'm your host, June. I got my boy B Foster. What's going on, bro?
Not much. A lot has changed in a week's time. So, I'm excited to talk about everything and break it all down.
Yeah, we had a show last week, and there's a lot have transpired since then. But before we get into that, please subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube. Check us out there. We're trying to get those subscribers. We're trying to get to 200 subscribers by the end of the month. We're on the road to 1,000. So we're close to it, close to 200. I think we're at like 135, 136, something like that. Trying to get to 200 by the end of the month. That'll give us some hope for this road to 2,000. So subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube. That's me and Foster's new channel, where you have a lot of this upcoming basketball and football season for the Lions and for the Pistons those episodes will be uploaded to that channel. On that channel, we will not be uploading anything else up on Motor City Metrics. However, you can go to Motor City Metrics and check out some of our own material. If you're not convinced that we do a good show, you can check out Bleachers to Speakers over there and Post Game Podcast over there. But the new channel, the new movement is the Bleachers to Speakers YouTube channel. So, Foster, I think last week, what was the last thing we reported on that was different? I think it was Clipman, right?
Had Harris been signed yet?
No.
Wow. That's old news.
Wait, hold on. I can't remember if we talked about Tobias Harris or not. I think that was the only. It had to be because we had to talk about Tobias Harris because that was the only acquisition at the time. Because we waited.
Right.
We waited to see what was going on because we wanted to wrap up the second half, the second round of the draft, and Tobias Harris acquisition. So yeah, we did talk about that, but there's been a few more moves after that. What happened after Tobias Harris? Who do we get after that?
So we traded for Tim Hardaway.
That was before, though.
That was before. Okay. So we signed Malik Beasley.
Okay, that's what didn't happen. That's what we didn't talk about last week. So we signed Malik Beasley.
That was on Saturday, I want to believe.
Saturday. I remember you texted me that and telling me because we was filming at the spot.
Right.
And I got the news. So that was Saturday. So let's talk about that. We'll jump into the Malik Beasley. And this is somebody that we talked about before free agency started. It was one of those things where he wasn't one of the people we highly talked about, but his name was mentioned in that free agency. I think it was you that brought it to the table that he will be a good acquisition. And I wasn't sure about it. I didn't think he would. I thought he would just, resign with Milwaukee. It's a good situation. They're trying to rebound. They need all their firepower retained. And boom, out the blue, we get Malik Beasley a few days after the free agency started. Because, I think free agency started on a Wednesday, right?
I don't know the specific day.
It started in the middle of the week, and it was like at the end of the week, we thought it was going to be Tobias Harris, right? Just that was it. And then we get Malik Beasley. So I personally, to be honest, I don't know. I know he can shoot. So Foster, if you can tell the people in your own words what we get in Malik Beasley?
So he's a guy that's been around. He got drafted out of Florida State, but he's only 26 years old, which was news to me because he's bounced around a whole bunch of different teams. He's often trade bait at the deadline. So he's played for the Lakers, he's played for the Timberwolves, he's played for the Bucks, but he's basically a spot up shooter, not a guy that necessarily. I think he can put the ball on the floor a little bit and attack closeouts, but he's basically a spot up shooter. He's a career high 30s percent from three type of guy, but essentially he's a number two or a number three, a guy that can start if need be, but he's comfortable coming off the bench, and he's not. I wouldn't say that he's he's definitely not a defensive juggernaut, but he's not quite a cone defensively.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about guys that can space the floor and have experience playing next to top-notch talent, I mean, he's played with Giannis. I think in the last 2 years, he's played with Giannis, all the talent in Minnesota. So that's Anthony Edwards, Gobert, Towns, and he's played with LeBron James. He played for the Lakers for like their playoff run and post trade deadline. So he's got experience playing alongside top-notch talent. I know that from the perspective of Bucks fans, I guess he didn't perform great when they got put out in the first round last year.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he checks the boxes as far as outside shooting from a shooting guard /3 position role.
Yeah, I mean, and we also talked about this last show, right? Because there were some people that wasn't too high on the Tim Hardaway acquisition via trade. But one thing we all talked about, and this team was really, really young, and we needed some kind of veteran presence in that locker room. You did that when you picked up Malik Beasley. He's been around. He, like as you mentioned, he's played with all stars, and he's 26 years old, and he's been in the league for a few years. You know, for him to be 26 in comparison to the rest of the roster, he's an old man.
He's an old man.
And that's and if you need that leadership, you need that veteran presence. And I did a short article on the acquisition. It was on the fly, but one of the things is when you acquire somebody like Malik Beasley for a 1-year contract, mind you, this is a free agent that came here. It wasn't via trade. He chose to sign a 1-year deal with Detroit. Now, we don't know the underlinings of it. We do know that this was voluntarily. Like, he wasn't forced here. He wasn't traded here. And the problem has been with Detroit is we haven't been able to acquire any free agents that can make a difference, that has made a difference in a long time. So when you get someone that's willing to come here that can play, that's a bonus. Now, even if you said, hey, he's not going to be here, or he only signed for 1 year, well, you want that expiring contract. You want people to come in here and play their hearts out with hopes of getting a bigger contract next year. A lot of these people sign 1-year deals, or they play in their last year of their contract with hopes of having a big payday. So I expect if he's in the plans for him to stay here, to give his best. I mean, 110% effort, and I expect no less because he has a lot to play for. Even if you don't think it's a lot to play for the Pistons, he has a lot to play for his career. So you bring somebody along like that, you hopefully he likes he plays well, and you can retain him because you've taken a chance on him, and if you can get him into the environment that he wants to play in, get this man some buffs, let him stay, let him sign a deal. You know what I'm saying? And with that being said, also, it's official with Cade. You just extended his contract 5 years. So you have Cade. You have a centerpiece here. Um, because like I said, you can't get free agents here for some odd reason. So the best bet is to draft well and retain who you draft well. You know, the good picks. And you did that with Cade. You got Malik Beasley. There's a lot of moving parts in that backcourt that you can deal with until you figure something out. That's another thing, Foster. You sent me that quote.
Uh, what from Bickerstaff?
Yeah. I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna read it because I've been thinking about it since you sent it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So JB Bickerstaff said he plans on staggering Cade and Ivy and keep one on the floor at all times. Now, I know if you're have any oomph of basketball knowledge, who's going to be on the floor all the time between those two, right? The proof is in the pudding, unless I'm just totally.
Well, when he says that means, well,
You expect Ivy to play more than Cade?
no. Well, only thing that means is that they're both gonna sit at times. No one's gonna play 48
Oh, no, no,
minutes, of
no, no,
course.
no, no. I know that. I just know that I know that doesn't mean that that's impossible, to hold that up over a whole season. I'm not, but there's going to be one that gets a lot of playing time
Yeah.
more than the other, according to that. They'll be on the floor together, but one would be on the floor more than the other. And that's what I got out of that.
Right.
So you got to remember, you got all these other guards. You got Malik Beasley, you got Tim Hardaway Jr. You have a lot of moving parts at shooting guard or the other guard, however you want to name it. So it's going to be real interesting about how the starting lineup can look at how it could be. I guess that's a good segue to show the uh, the the thing you sent me there, Foster. You about ready to talk about that?
Yeah, we can talk about the roster.
Let's see here. You can explain it while I get it queued up there.
Okay, I guess I do got it written down somewhere. So yeah, it's kind of impossible to truly determine who is going to, who exactly is going to be the starter, because we do have so many interchangeable pieces here. But there are a couple that are pretty solid. Pretty solid as far as Cade being the starting point guard. I think that's a foregone conclusion. I do believe that Ivy being the starting shooting guard. I mean, I've seen some different projected lineups, and I can actually see scenarios where a Tim Hardaway or a Beasley could slide into that number 2 role, depending on how. I think that it's Ivy's job to lose at this point. But if he's not able to shoot efficiently from the outside, that is going to affect whether or not he's the starting shooting guard. Because I think that having shooters around Cade is very pivotal to how well he plays, with him being the franchise player. But I do it. So right now I have Ivy at the 2. I have Fontecchio at the 3. That's another one that's interchangeable. That could honestly be. That could even be a Sar Thompson up there, but it very well could be a Malik Beasley, or they could put a Tim Hardaway at the 3. Yeah, they could put a Tim Hardaway. I don't know. He's more of a 2. And then I got Tobias Harris at the 4, which is pretty solid. Once again, he could play the 3. Somebody else could play the 4, but I think that Tobias Harris is. All things considered right now is the starting 4, which we direly needed that. So it's nice to be able to slot him in there. And then we got Jalen Duren at the starting center position. At the backup point guard, I have Sasser, but Bickerstaff has already stated that they're going to stagger. He's going to stagger him and Ivy. So a lot of times, I think that Ivy is going to be that secondary point guard when Cade goes to the bench and vice versa.
Absolutely.
So that's going to move Sasser down to a number a three, the third point guard, or possibly a scoring spark off the bench at the shooting guard position. But as of right now, I got Tim Hardaway as the backup shooting guard. To space the floor, I got Malik Beasley. I got Asar Thompson, who the one thing that worries me about the second unit is that where is the defense going to come from? Tim Hardaway isn't really a two-way player. Malik Beasley isn't really a two-way player. Sasser or Ivy, they're not necessarily known for their defensive prowess. So I feel like Asar Thompson is one of the lone defensive players we have on that second unit. And then I have Isaiah Stewart at the backup center position. But even from there, it gets interesting because not so much Moore or Ron Holland, because I think that it's a foregone conclusion that Ron Allen is going to have to earn his keep right now with the players that we brought in right now. But Paul Reed, we did bring him in at $8 million a year for the next 3 years. So at this point, when you really think about the fact that they're probably not going to run those gigantic 5 in, 5 out, 10, 11 man rotations, where does Paul Reed fall into this go ahead?
I got to interject, man.
Go ahead.
Because see, we talked about the acquisitions. We just acquired Paul Reed.
Right.
And we don't, okay, this is just a projected or guesstimation of the lineup, but Paul Reed could very well earn the starting 4 and have Tobias Harris at the 3 where you bring Fontecchio off the bench. That could happen.
But even then, Fontecchio comes off the bench. So what? So Beasley, you got a guy like Beasley who's making 6. Not that it really matters. Obviously, we have quite the logjam at shooting guard.
Yeah.
Which is a good problem to have. But somebody's gonna miss some playing time when it's all said and done, if something like that happens. Because Paul Reed very well could.
The reason why I say that because let's say, for instance, I mean, far as I know, Tobias Harris did play 4 at Philly.
Mm-hmm.
His more natural position is the shooting 4. That's the small 4. That's his natural position. And Paul Reed is a natural 4.
Right.
Backup 5. So it just depends on what the work they put in over the summer. Like they have Paul Reed has a lane to earn the starting 4 because he's
the starting 4, really?
If he works hard, yeah. I mean, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. I'm not convinced that he's just gonna come in there and steal Stewart's minutes, but
it's not about what I think he's doing. I'm saying he can. It's possible.
I don't think anybody is done enough to.
I think what the starting roster that you have up there will be it. I'm just saying the possibilities are endless as far as with the roster you have in place. It's a lot of interchangeable parts, and it all depends on what they do over the summer. You got a new coach coming in, right? And he doesn't have any favorites. Right. He's whoever earns it. Like whenever you get a new coach, you have an opportunity to earn clean slate, right? You have a clean slate. So even Ivy, clean slate. You say what you want about him last year. He has a clean slate. What I'm saying? So you got these players with this new coach, and you have an opportunity to make an impression. If I'm Paul Reed and the people that are in my way at the 4 is Tobias Harris, I'm gonna make an argument for it with my play.
Yeah.
You wanna, you know what I'm saying? You're like, if you can find a way for Tobias Harris to be your 3 instead of having to play the 4, which I don't have a problem with him being 4. I'm just, just talking. Let's get to a quick break, Foster. Well, we went a little longer than what we were supposed to, but I want to talk some more about this lineup. I think it's pretty interesting with the interchangeable parts because I think the roster is better than it was last year already. So, so if you're listening, you'll hear some ads. If you're watching, we'll be back in about 6 seconds. Okay, we're back. But don't take that long when you're watching. If you're listening out there, I hope you enjoyed those ads. This lineup, you got Cade at point guard, you got Ivy as shooting guard, and I pray that Ivy impresses enough to say, "Hey, he's our starter here at guard," because it looked like trade bait for a minute here with him. Fontecchio at the 3, I don't have no problem with that. Harris at the 4, and Jalen Duren. Now, the crazy thing about it, Foster, is there's been a lot of chatter about Ingram, trading for Ingram, and I think it's a good pickup. However, I'm not ready to part with the name that's swirling around. If you got to do what you got to do, you got to do what you got to do. But if you can somehow avoid getting rid of Duren, you know what I'm saying? That's an A+ trade for me.
That'd be nice.
It would be nice, right? But the problem is, like you mentioned, New Orleans needs a center. They need a center, so it's like, it's just not feasible. Do you take Stewart? No. I mean, if you could trade Stewart, and no offense, Stu, but if you can trade Stewart instead and pick up a Bobby Ingram, give up some draft capital, draft picks, maybe a little capital, and
if it's Stewart, Ivy's going with him, though.
I don't have a problem with losing Ivy right
now. Okay.
For Ingram, I don't.
We have a ton of guards.
Yeah,
we have Sasser, we have Hardaway, we have Beasley, we have Ron Holland waiting in the wings. We have a multitude of guards to go around. So
the thing is, we don't have enough centers. So if we can give up the Stewart and Ivy, because we have guards, it is what it is.
I think losing Duren leaves us kind of exposed without any true center outside of Paul Reed and I guess Stewart, but that's still a pretty gaping hole there.
I don't want to. I'm not ready to part ways with Duren right now. He gets another crack at it with me. The man can rebound. He can rebound. If nothing else, we know he can do more.
If nothing else, that's all you're hanging your hat on, is the fact that he can rebound.
We know he can do more. We know
he's sounding real Drummond-ish.
Hey man, when he left, we missed him.
Yeah, I guess. You see how he's getting tossed around the league at this point. He's going. I want him. I'll take him.
I was hoping he was coming back.
That'd been cool.
Yeah, I mean,
it makes you wonder why. It makes you, because he's always alluded to the fact that I don't even know how much he got paid to go elsewhere. Where'd he go?
I mean, he went to Philly.
Right.
Philly.
Oh, wow.
Paper.
That's a nice.
Philly's looking good on paper right now.
So yeah, they pretty much Paul Reed for Drummond.
Yeah. Drummond is a good backup 5.
Yeah.
Very good backup 5. So I just think to get Ingram, if you can avoid getting rid of Duran, that's a plus. Now, would I be mad if they got rid of Duran from Ingram? I wouldn't be mad, but at the same time, be like, okay, who's our center? Who's our center? Probably be Paul Reed,
As the starting center.
starting center. Yeah. No, I don't know,
So,
man. I don't know, man.
so I have a question.
I'm listening.
Um, are they based upon the roster construction right now?
Mhm.
Any concerns that you have about just basically the layout, what we got going on? Like any concerns?
You're not gonna like my concerns.
We may have the same concerns.
I don't like the power forward position. I have a
The
serious
starting one or just the
in my mind, Foster. In my mind, I don't like Tobias Harris at the 4.
have you witnessed it?
I mean, that's just like I said. I could be wrong. It's in my mind.
Would you say it's better than Stewart at the 4?
That's not saying much.
I don't think. I mean, I want to say that Tobias Harris. I can't say I watched a ton of. I can't say I watched a ton of Sixers basketball, but I'm pretty sure that his days of playing primary threes, that was more in his heyday. And now that he's less fleet of foot, he's more apt at that position because he's like 6'8", 6'9". He's
Well,
not.
Foster, if someone came and just told me, June, he plays the 4 on a regular and he plays it, he holds it down pretty good, I would be fine with that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I haven't talked to anybody about it. I'm just assuming that's where he played because I'm assuming the Sixers starting lineup.
Yeah, yeah. His
So, so I don't know. I mean, I do know the Sixers kind of looked at him as a scapegoat when they fell short.
yeah.
So,
I think that was his offensive shortcomings, not because he was just getting torched at the 4.
yeah, I mean, I'm just
But also when you play next to Embiid, that kind of covers up a lot of your
yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, man, it's not because of a complaint about Tobias. It's just a lack of knowledge on my part. I'm not sure how it will work. I don't know. I do think power forward is just my concern. Because if you look at it, we have a plethora of guards. We have a plethora of threes. You know what I'm saying? We have a lot of small forwards. We have a lot of shooting guards. Um, we have a lot of shooting guards that can bring the ball up. So there's no problem with the there's no problem with the backcourt. There's no problem. It's just when it comes to the power forward and the backup center position, kind of it's the front court that bothers me, that I'm concerned about. Not saying that they can't prove me wrong. It's not like they're just god awful. Not saying that at all. Just I have to see what we got.
yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah. Um yeah. The I guess that is a concern that with Duran being a liability down low, Tobias Harris doesn't exactly cover anything up with what he provides. I think I'm not very knowledgeable about defensive ratings, but it looks like he's at least league average in that aspect.
Mhm.
Um, but uh, but yeah, my biggest, honestly, I think by far the most important player in as far as this team is concerned right now is Jaden Ivey.
Yes. Yeah.
For two reasons. For one, he's essentially, as far as the max ceiling, you want him to be the second option next to Cade Cunningham.
Right.
You know, we know what we're going to get out of a Malik Beasley. You know, Tobias Harris has consistently averaged 17 points a game, no more, nothing less. Duren, you don't want him to be your second option. He's not he's not to the point to where you're just not there yet. So I think Jaden Ivey is going to be that at its max. Jaden Ivey has a ceiling to be a 20 plus point per game score, hopefully on efficient shooting, but also outside of Cade. When you take Cade away, Cade sits down. You don't have many creators for who we have. Like you got Malik Beasley, you got Tim Hardaway, but these guys are not guys that create their own shot. They need somebody to set them up.
Mm-hmm.
And Ivy, if they're staggering it, Cade sits down and Ivy is running the show. It's going to be important that he's creating opportunities for Beasley, Hardaway, Fontecchio. It's going to be important that he's creating for them, because we don't have that outside of Cade right now. Sasser maybe could be that, but as far as I know, that's never been his game. So,
Right.
it's bad enough that those guys that shoot volume threes, when they're on, but when they're off, you're going to see 2 for 10 sometimes. Not very often when you average about 40%, but Tim Hardaway can go off for 30, but he can also go 2 for 10.
Yeah.
So it's going to be important that they have somebody that's creating opportunities, getting the pass in their shot pocket so that they can do what they do, because you're not going to see Malik Beasley creating a ton of shots off the dribble on his own. So
Right.
Ivy is definitely going to be the key, and just finding guys that can play defense. I think the guys that really had the potential to be our best defenders are some of our younger developmental players, like a Ron Holland, like a Asar Thompson, like a Bobby Clinton, even. So
That's another concern I have.
yeah, is being able to defend. I think Paul Reed is going to help some of those things, because he does average 1 block a game in just under 20 minutes of action, which is better than Duren has been able to do in 20 plus minutes of action. So I think that he can help in that regards, but you need more than you need more than Paul Reed to get it done.
Yeah. My other concern is, what are you going to do with Asar Thompson? He was one of my favorite players last year. And I know the kid, he was a rookie, but he just had that dog in him, and he played defense, and he got better with his shooting over time.
Well,
unfortunately, he was his year was cut short because of a blood clot, and he was deemed healthy and ready to resume practicing today. He's a
Right.
full go. So,
which lets me know that he probably hasn't got as much work in since then.
right.
So I don't be surprised if he's not just so far ahead of where he was last year, because
he hasn't had a chance to. And then
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know to what, maybe he was able to take jump shots, maybe, but as far as full contact 5-on-5, I think that you're gonna see I don't think you're gonna see that large jump that maybe you hope for. But hey, maybe that's why you go after a Ron Holland, with that you're like, that's kind of a parallel to Asar Thompson, but
right.
maybe that's why you double up, because he's not going to be, or maybe that's why you go and get a Malik Beasley, who can play at the 3, when you knew you already had Fontecchio and a Asar and a Bobby Clinton. I mean, they're all essentially wings. Yeah. So
Well, which brings to my visual here. If you notice, Sir Thompson's not on this summer league roster,
Mhm.
and like I said, I think these kind of that kind of thing, as you mentioned, uh, he- it's a development thing. Like he needs those reps. He needs to play in the summer league. However, he hasn't been able to. So you're not going probably not going to see the sophomore jump as far as improvement. You may not see it. You're probably not going to see it because he's just now getting healthy. He had a serious health issue with the blood that's deadly. So you have to be really careful. And then Langdon said, we're bringing him back slowly because of how serious that is. You know what I'm saying? That's not, I mean, you can't see a blood clot, you know what I'm saying, just on the outside. Like if it was an ankle and he's limping or he's in pain, that's one thing. But blood clot is something totally different. So you have to bring them along slowly and make sure everything is good. You have to monitor that, stuff like that. So, but which brings the summer league roster. And when I looked at it, I only knew three people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I only knew three people. And the three people I knew, I only seen one of them play basketball, and that's Marcus Sasser. I expected Marcus Sasser to be on this list, be on the summer league roster only because second year person. I did expect both the rookies, Clinton and Ron Holland. I did expect those two to be on the roster, and they were. So those were the three that I knew,
Yeah.
right? I do not know Will Baker out of LSU. He's a rookie. So with him being a rookie and being here, he wasn't drafted. Uh, Aaron Estrada, rookie out of Alabama, undrafted. Uh, Devin Higgs from the Motor City Cruise, didn't know who that was. What's that? Cam Hankerson, have no idea who that is. He's a rookie. He was undrafted. Ron Holland, we know he was our draft pick at number 5. You have what's that? What's that? Darius Jenkins.
I read up a little bit on him. I want to say we ended up drafting him, if I'm not mistaken, but St.
Mm,
John's. Yeah.
he was drafted.
He was either drafted or he was the first signing. But I actually
He's undrafted.
undrafted. Okay, so he was maybe one of the first signings because I got a chance to I think I reported on him along with Bobby Clinton, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe so. You got Jace Johnson, center out of Motor City Cruise. He's a rookie. You got Bobby Clinton, who we did draft. Javante McCord, rookie, out of Austin,
Austin P.
Austin P. Or Austin. It says something else. Austin Spurs.
Or maybe.
That's what it says on the paper.
Oh, maybe he played for the G League Spurs.
Yeah. Okay, maybe.
Some shit.
Okay, but he's a rookie. You got Sam Peake, a rookie out of the Motor City Cruise. Marcus Sasser, who we assume would be here on the Summer League roster. Jalen Stevenson from the Sacramento Kings. Tolu Smith, a rookie out of Mississippi State, undrafted. And to round it off, the end is Ross Williams, rookie. I don't know any of these people except for 3.
We'll get a chance. We'll get a chance to know him, I guess.
The first game is Saturday, 13th. I will be tuned in. I would definitely be tuned in, and I'll be watching. I was hoping until I didn't have any idea about Thompson until this roster came out. And when the roster came out, I figured, oh, he's not ready. He hasn't been cleared to play. Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't expect Duran to be on here because he's practicing with the Olympic team.
Right. And he's in his third year, right?
He's in his third year, but I've seen third-year players.
If you're in your third, then you probably, that is usually the guys that are like Killian, I think, played in his third year, right?
He should be here.
Killian needed some work.
He should be in somebody's summer league this year.
It's crazy. He's not on a, well, he got cut from the France team, but it's crazy that he's really out of the league.
Hey.
Oh no.
And to think that's who you got over Tyrese Halliburton.
I'm past that.
Anyway, it's
time for another break.
It's an intriguing lineup. You know what I noticed though about the summer league? It has a decent amount of size. I see a lot of 6'11", 7 foot.
Yeah, no little fellas. I think the shortest dude is 6'3".
Yeah.
Or 6'1". The Sasser is 6'1".
Well, Ross Williams is 5'10".
Dang.
Yeah. But you got Total Smith at 6'11". Jalen Slauson at 6'8". You have Jace Johnson, 7-footer. And you have Will Baker, 6'11". So hey, you do have some size there. One of the things we are lacking is size at the center position. You know, after Jalen Duren, and it's 6'9" and shorter.
That's true. That's true.
So, but you know what? We're not a tall team up front, but we are a tall team in the backcourt.
Yeah, you got a 6'6" guard. Yeah, you got a 6'6" point guard. You got a lot of
your small forwards are long, and you know, so yeah, you can't have it all. But I'll be definitely tuning in. The first game is the 13th. I think it's on ESPN2, I believe. I don't know what time, but I'll figure it out. I do have a family reunion that day, so probably either going to be late to the family reunion. I'm not gonna lie. I need to see what we got. I love my family, but they'll be all right.
Yeah. If I could interject with what I hope to see, what I'm looking for.
Sure.
For one, I'm definitely looking for Sasser. I mean, Sasser kind of asserted himself pretty good later on in the summer league, his rookie year. He was putting up some nice numbers. So with him being a year in, having played a full year of work, obviously he didn't get a ton of playing time, but I'm looking for him to really assert himself as a leader and a primary scorer, because he'll be the starting point guard
for sure. If you don't start in the summer league, something's wrong.
Something is very wrong, because there's no cards on this.
Or they said, okay, we've seen enough from you.
I can see them shutting him down after a game or two, because I don't think it's terribly necessary to watch him above everybody else. But yeah, I hope that he definitely is going to get his. I'm curious to see. I don't expect Ron Holland to have a major jump in his jump shot, major leap in his jump shot, but I do want
everything else though.
But I want to see where the jump shot is at. But I definitely want to see him assert himself defensively, because I think he's going to be one of our better defenders, regardless of the fact that he may not play a lot this year. I want to see, with him being a lottery pick and him playing amongst a lot of guys that won't be on the NBA court this year, I want to see him stand out, because he played for the G League last year. We're not talking about a guy that played in college. We're talking about a guy that played professional basketball competition. So I want to see that he has that edge on everybody else. And as far as Bobby Clement, I don't know what to expect. I don't really know what to expect from him. So same thing. If nothing else, I want to see where he's at defensively. See if some of those physical tools translates to, professional but lower level professional basketball, because the physical tools he has, as far as his height, his wingspan, those type of aspects project, have good high ceiling potential. But I want to see how raw he is as a basketball player. Or is he is he more ready than we thought? Because as of right now, he's probably going to spend a lot of time with with the what's the name of the team? Crews. He's probably going to spend a lot of time with the Crews, hopefully dominating with the Crews, but I don't see him suiting up many games early on in the year.
I'm going to definitely the reason why I am going to put off some of this family reunion, and don't worry, my family doesn't watch me on this show. Uh, or listen, so I gotta see what Ron Holland does. I don't expect him to be lights out from three. I don't expect him to be lights out from the outside. However, I want to see active defense. I want to see the athleticism. I want to see the confidence out there. That's what I'm watching for. I want to see if he's a dog. You know what I'm saying? Can't have enough dogs in your locker room. So I want to see that. I'm going to definitely pay attention to that. And for the rest, it could be a diamond in the rough out of this lineup. Who knows? Who knows? They have an opportunity. We've seen stranger things as far as people we didn't hear about uh, or expected to make a difference in the NBA, and they just splashed on the scene like, hey, and they're in there. So we'll see. It's going to be really interesting. I said I wasn't too sure about this here here lineup as far as the summer league. Like I said, we only knew 3 people. I don't know if Foster know anybody, but I only knew 3. I didn't watch much college basketball this past year either. So
yeah.
So it's going to be real interesting. We're going to get to another break, and then we're going to wrap this up. I didn't even know how far along we had gone.
We rolling, man.
Let's see here. Man, time flies when you're having fun, man, because it was like we really didn't have much to talk about. We know we needed to talk today because the acquisitions. We mentioned Beasley, but we didn't talk too much about Paul Reed. He was the latest acquisition. We also didn't talk. We Fontecchio resigned for $8 million a year, which I thought was a bargain.
Man,
resigned Fontecchio. We talked about Malik Beasley. Paul Reed. Foster sent me some highlights that Paul Reed had in the game where he scored 30. And it's a small sample size because that's one game. He averaged 20 minutes a game?
19 points something, yeah. 20.
Yeah. So small sample size. But one thing I noticed out of the other stuff that I watched from him, he has a decent mid-range jump shot. He can shoot. He also can step out and hit a 3. It doesn't look awkward.
Well, that shot is not pretty.
It doesn't look awkward for him.
Confident though. He know that mug going in.
Is ugly. He has an ugly jump shot. It's not a sweet looking jump shot, but he, without hesitant, pulls. He actually, and with consistency, the mid range is money.
Yes.
So that's something I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to, and there was a press conference by JB Bickerstaff. I think it was the first one. I'm not sure if that was the first one. That was the first one I listened to.
Yeah, that was yeah. Let me know, because I honestly didn't get a chance. I saw people quotes, but I didn't get a chance to really listen to it, and it was pretty long. I don't know if you watched the entire press conference, but can you give me like a cliff notes of what you got out of the press conference?
He said all the things he's supposed to say,
right?
Without giving you any answers.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't terribly.
I'll give you an example. Right, there was one reporter that asked him, What is the timeline for the turnaround?
Of course.
Great question.
Yeah.
And that's something we all want to know.
And nobody with a brain is going to give you a real time.
And he did not give a timeline because I don't think he can. I think that's an unfair question, but that's the question that everybody wants to know, right? So it's like the questions that we all want to know, he can't tell us. But the important thing about it is he didn't try to tell us and fill it with lies. One thing I got out of the press conference is that he believes this team can turn it around. There was not a doubt that he could develop these players. And there was another interesting thing he said, and he told Trajan Langdon, we can make it happen. Trajan just got to give me some, as long as Trajan give me some players. So that tells me he's not content with the roster. We got to shake some things up. I need this. You know what you need. You're not going into this thing saying, this is what I got. We're going to make it happen. No, I need this. I need this. I need this. And I have no problem with that from coach.
And to be honest, you got a lot of guys that, based upon the current roster setup, especially with the amount of cap space. I think we have like 16 million or something left, but it's not. It doesn't look all the way complete. You got a couple spots where it's like, well, is Beasley only going to get like 10 minutes a game? Is it Stewart or is it Reed that's going to sit, that's going to be in that Wiseman spot where it's like, all right, we'll give you a couple spot minutes. If you get hot, we'll let you ride. But if not, you're going back to the bench. It doesn't seem all the way complete. And they also have a lot of, even if this is the roster and we're waiting to the trade deadline, you got Hardaway on a expiring deal. You got Beasley he's only making $6 million a year. You can easily move this contract. You can easily move Fontecchio's contract. Granted, we love Fontecchio. We don't want, but he's only making $8 million, right? How much make?
8.
Yeah, 3 years, 24, something like that. Yeah. So you got a lot of because I don't see Hardaway and Beasley finishing the year on the roster.
And that's what I was about to say, Foster. Between Ivy, Beasley,
Hardaway, Ivy too, depending on how it goes.
All three of them would not be here all year.
And if you see Ivy play well, that might just boost the trade stock.
The trade stock. It could boost the trade stock.
Which is an awkward thing because it's like, oh, if you play, because in your mind and as a fan, you're like, oh, he's playing well, keep him, right? Sometimes you play well to get moved, especially if the right move, especially if the right situation comes up. And that's just the way you have to play it. You got to be aggressive and you got to take chances because guys aren't just going to blindly come to Detroit, especially if we're not winning. Now we get to a point to where we have that winning culture. The energy is there. The LCA is sold out, which I foresee in the future. At some point, it's going to get to that point. And at that point, you're going to see guys like, I might come to Detroit. That's the way it is with the Lions. The Lions. I almost cussed. The Lions have gotten to a point.
We're on our own channel, so feel free.
It's to the point to where that is a destination spot, and that took no time. And this is basketball in Detroit. Like we have 2 championships?
Yeah,
we have 2 championships. 3, right? There's 3, right?
3.
Yes. So we have 3 championships. That is more than a lot of teams have. Believe it, in the NBA. There's a lot of teams that have 0 or 1 championships after quite some time. So we have a historic franchise.
Yeah.
We have some very strong eras of basketball between the Ben Wallace going to work era and the bad boy era. Everybody know about the bad boy era.
Mhm.
So I went on a little rant, but
Of course.
we can put ourselves in a position, especially when you have a guy like Cade, who we know is locked in for the long haul. I think the energy that I've gotten from around the league is that people respect him and are not opposed to playing with a Cade Cunningham. Um, so yeah, and I didn't get a chance to talk about the Malik Beasley signing. Came off the heels of us going after Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield ended up going to the Warriors. I like Buddy Hield, but he's never been a winner. He's never really played for a winning team. He played for the Pacers, right? And then they traded him. They immediately traded it,
When he
So
went there, we thought that was a great pickup for them, but
I did.
he was
Yeah, I did.
expendable. I mean, I did too. He was expendable though.
Yeah, and then he ended up not doing well in Philly. So I just think that I don't know. He's just not used to winning. He played for the Kings, and they paid for a mediocre Pacer team. And when they got good, they got rid of him, and then Philly got rid of him. So, anyways, he wanted to go somewhere where he can win, which I respect because he has he hasn't had that opportunity to do that, and with the Pacers, he will get that opportunity, but it stung a little bit to be like, we could have got a great shooter. Buddy Hield's one of the best 3-point shooters in the entire league right now. And we missed out on that opportunity because we don't have a winning culture. There wasn't even a look on the horizon that we might have an opportunity to win. But you know what? Malik Beasley is about as good as him. And they're about the same age, honestly. Hields is a better shooter, but yeah, so it was nice that somebody made that choice because Beasley I don't know what the market was. Obviously, it's obvious that those middle of the road guys are not they're not getting the money. It's either you're making no money, that you're either making the veteran minimum, or you're making $1 zillion.
Right.
There's no in between right now. But I assume that Beasley could have got close to that money and went to a better team than the Pistons were last year, but he chose to come here, and we're grateful for that. And we got some winners. We got some guys that have experience winning. Tobias Harris played for the Clippers. He played for the Sixers. The Sixers have obviously been in the playoff contention. Malik Beasley, we already kind of talked about the teams that he's played for. Tim Hardaway played in the finals last year. So we got some guys. Paul Reed played for the Sixers as well. So we got some guys that have some experience winning, and they can bring that culture into what we have going on with some of the young players that we have. Because as of right now, our entire core is still here. We still have Asar Thompson. We still have Ivy. We still have Cade. We still have Duran. So we have the core here. We're mixed in with some veterans, and we should be able to win some games. We should be able to win some games this year. Do I sound excited?
I mean, but you sounded excited last year.
Oh God. I need to go back to that show.
Yeah, you sounded excited. I mean, we
on paper that team looked good. I don't care what nobody talking about. That team looked great.
You got to remember though, there was a time when we had lost 23, 24 in a row, and we were still optimistic that they would win the next game.
That's sick.
And if you look back at it, we lose 5 and be like, we're gonna win tomorrow.
Yeah,
we're gonna win 6 in a row. Oh, we're gonna win tomorrow. There was always that spirit of hope whenever we played. So
yeah, what's wrong with us?
I just think we're Pistons fans, and that's just what it is. That's just
we won't go into the year with Killian Hayes as our starting shooting guard. That much I do know.
Yeah, and one thing I did like this offseason is we said last year that we needed some veterans. We needed some veterans, and you got Tobias Harris. He's 31. He seems like he's father time in comparison, right? You got a 31-year-old in your locker room, and he's probably the second or third best player on your team. Probably second best.
Who was the second?
Tobias Harris could be.
Yeah.
And he's 31, and he's father time in that locker room.
In the locker room, but he's
In that locker room, you look Reed's 25, right? Malik Beasley's 26. These
But
guys,
I do want to. No, I know I don't want to cut your wisdom. Go ahead. I'm a wrap with that.
well, I'm just saying these guys are the veteran leadership that we've been asking for. That we said the draft wasn't going to help us because one thing we didn't need was more youth, and with
we said that. We repeatedly said that. Yes.
And one of the things we did was we did get some veterans in the locker room. Now, go ahead and say what you're going to say.
No, the only thing, because I didn't, it crossed my mind earlier, but one of the most important things about the guys that we went and acquired, for the most part, is they're durable. Paul Reed played 82 games last year. He didn't miss a single game last year. That's huge. Malik Beasley.
They mentioned that, and they mentioned that in the press conference too. Like a lot of the people that was acquired played 82 games.
That's so important.
Between 70 and 82 games. Like, did you? And they asked, was that your goal?
Right.
And Trajan Langdon said that's one of the things we look at, the players that actually, are healthy, predominantly. We try to get those players in. It wasn't a target, but it's a consideration when we acquire players to get players that have played, that have remained healthy. So,
yeah. So Beasley played 79 games last year.
Mm-hmm.
He played in 81 games between LA and Utah the year before, and the year before that he played 79. That average is insane.
But you know what though, and there's another thing. It sounds like Bickerstaff, according to the press conference, he believes in Ivy. He believes.
Okay. So is there anything in particular? Well, because I want to look up Hardaway, because Hardaway, I feel like can be a little bit injury prone. Let me see where he's at.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that he said that would give you that impression?
Well, the quote that I said earlier.
Hardaway played 79 games last year and 71 the year before. Oh my God.
Injury is not an issue with him.
That's crazy.
But one of the things I said it earlier in the show, that he envisions both of them being on the floor with one, staggering them both on the floor with one playing a little bit more than the other. In so many words. So it just tells me to say that, because that's something that you don't have to say. You don't have to say, I'm going to have Ivy on the floor with Cade and I'm going to stagger him. To have that in your plans, you know what I'm saying? And you probably, you haven't seen enough of them in practice. You haven't seen them in any practice. But to say, hey, and then this is the Ivy who's been trade talks, who had a disappointed second year, for him to come forward and say, hey, I envision him on the floor with Cade a lot. That just, that shows me he believes in Ivy.
It also shows me that he wants them to get a little break from each other so that one can really take over, and they both have the capability of running the show on their own too. So it shows a lot. It shows that they can work together, but also that they will have an opportunity to be the alpha floor setter as well. So
one thing I notice about Ivy is I think the only thing, his weakness is shot selection. Right.
Okay.
Because I think he has one of the quickest first steps I've ever seen. And it seems like when he wants to get to the cup, he can. Now, with that being said, if I can get to the cup anytime I want, I'm going to abuse you. Either I'm going to get there or I'm going to make you back off so I can shoot an open jumper.
And now there's no excuse to not have a Fontecchio, Beasley, Hardaway, Harris, Stewart. There should always be that guy on the court.
There should
never be a time
where you can drive and kick.
where there's not at least one person who you cannot leave open.
Yeah. That you have shooters. You do have shooters. You don't have to depend on Cade. You got Beasley. You got a Hardaway Jr.
Sasser shot 40% from 3 last year.
Yeah.
I believe. Over 40. I think it was like 42%.
It was a pretty decent percentage in comparison to everyone else on the team.
That's why I just feel like we need one more, because I don't know how well Asar, because I know his brother is a pretty, like, I think they're viewing him as the point guard of the future, but I think that his brother's a little ahead of him.
Y'all laughed at me, man, when I said, man, put that man at point guard.
Because his handle is shaky. His handle ain't all the way there.
Hey, man, he's a dog and he's a baller, man. You can work on that.
For sure. For sure.
You can work on your ball handling. Pause. That was crazy. But yeah, that's something that I'm telling you, man, I would experiment with him. Your point guard, you ain't got to worry. I mean, you don't have to depend on them shooting from the outside like that. If you can start the offense.
Yeah. No, that would take a lot of pressure off him. That would enable him to start the fast break, initiate the fast break, and not be dependent on to finish from the outside, because he can get the ball to the guys that can finish it.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of pressure off him, and he can play, and he can focus on being the best defensive player by far on the team.
And you see what they're doing with his brother. They're putting him at point guard. I mentioned that last year, and
his brother went before him, though. He went before him for a reason, though.
That's his brother. They're the same height. They can work out together. They can improve.
We got the brother with the blood clot. It just happened. I don't know how it happened.
We're gonna end the show on that one, Foster, because
I didn't want to say it, but it's only right. It's only right, right? It's only right.
It's only wrong. Hey, check this out before y'all get out of here.
That was bold. That's terrible.
Subscribe to Bleach.
Who said that?
I don't know, man. Somebody.
Did we get any comments? No one said anything the whole show.
Word today.
That's great. I'm on it right now. So yeah, no,
I'm paying attention. Subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers, and also for your audio feeds, we are on every podcast streaming platform. All you have to do is go to platforms like Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio. Type in Post Game Podcast in the search. That's Post Game Podcast FFSN. You will see a basketball key with a piston colored logo. Post Game Podcast. Follow us. Hit the notification bell so whenever we drop, you'll get the next episode, and download the episodes. Foster, you got any last words before we get out of here?
Nah, this is going to the next show is going to be a recap of the first Summer League game, and please subscribe to Post Game Podcast on all streaming platforms, because if any trades, free agent signings, anything else happens, we're gonna get you that news as soon as we get that information. So
I mean, we was on the Malik Beasley, you know what I'm saying?
Everything else. We're gonna continue to do that.
Paul Reed and everything else. Yeah, we're on it. So even if you're out and about and you have your phone and you have that notification, you'll see it. We drop it soon as the news is official. I mean, we don't go by rumors. It has to be verified through ESPN before we say anything. So
that Woj bomb.
Oh, Woj, yeah. And Woj said it's a wrap. We're gonna report it. So pay attention, man. Just follow us there. Foster, I'm excited. I'm ready for this. Ready for the Summer League game, and all I can say is Detroit basketball. It's back, baby.